So today I'm in Baxter Park. And I'm going to start walking here, which is where we are just now. I'm going to go around here, across there, up through these trees. There. This is an oak tree. It's very tall, like most trees. You can tell it's an oak tree. Oop. The shape of its leaves. Quite long leaves that have this sort of wavy shape to them. Thank you. This tree's quite unusual in that it's still got green leaves on it even though it's the middle of winter. That's bark. Very thick, sort of bobbly bark. So here we've got our first evergreen tree. It's kind of pine tree, but I don't actually know which kind exactly. It's got very long pine needles. You can see them up there. That's something from a orienteering thing. And its bark is very different to the oak tree we looked at. This one, rather than being sort of knobbly, is all flaky. It's got some green lichen, I guess, growing on it. Or some kind of fungus. It's quite common. Also see there are probably spiders and things living in the bark, surviving winter by hiding from the cold inside the trees. Oh, that's a very cool tree, isn't it? Oh, there's a bird. So this tree is one of the main features of Baxter Park. It's a large maple tree. It's got a lot of benches underneath it. Quite a lot of people sit under this, mostly during summer. It's got very papery bark. It's got some places where it's red and darker colours. Bark feels very thick. I'm not going to pull it off though. It's just under 1 metre wide. Do you see how its trunk is twisting? Wonder why that happened. So we're roughly at the halfway point of our walk now. coming up to the central pavilion. And even though it is midday about now, because the sun is so low in the sky in winter, the shadows are still really long even at noon. It's quite frosty. Actually standing on ice just now. See the interesting patterns that the ice has made, freezing around different textures in the pavement. Well, I find this interesting anyway. Here we have a rowan tree. Smaller than the other two trees we've looked at. Its bark is almost papery. You can see it's got lots of little new shoots growing off. Trees don't die in winter, they just sort of go to sleep. There's quite a lot growing in winter. This one's still got red berries on it. These are really important food sources for a lot of wildlife and insects. In spring and summer this will be absolutely covered in bees. Now we're coming up to the slightly more foresty part of Baxter Park. This is actually one of my favourite parts of it. Got a lot of trees here and lots of long grass. And here what looks like old dead stuff just now is actually blackberry bushes. I believe it's a horse chestnut tree. See how long its branches are? You can see it's got buds growing on it. They'll grow throughout winter and they'll open out in spring, which won't be that far away. Horse chestnut trees produce conkers, which are a really valuable food source for squirrels mainly. And here we are at the Spring Grove in Baxter Park. This is a little feature that's been made to look like a natural river or brook in an actual forest. Not much visible just now, but there are lots of little birds that live here. And I don't know if you can make it out on the camera, but there is some steam rising just off the water. Because the water's relatively warm, it's been warmed up by the sun, and it's very low humidity in the air just now. Let's carry on. Now this slightly smaller but much wider tree is an elm tree. See all those sort of deep ridges in its bark? This branch has either fallen off or been cut off at some point. You see all the new shoots going out of where it was. Imagine all sorts of animals living in here when I'm not around. Let's have a look at this bit. You see how the branches have all grown over each other? That's cool, isn't it? Let's go down through here. Stuck in the bush. See where we come out. These trees. And go down here. Crawling through the bushes now. Imagine what it's like to be a badger or a fox. See, these things are actually really soft. Whee! Get out. This is a willow tree. You see how its branches droop down like a broomstick? Really interesting looking tree. And its top two branches have been tied together like that, so if they get heavy they won't break apart. Oh, there's a nest in that one. You hear sounds my boots make as I'm walking through them. Satisfying. They may be frozen on top, but all these leaves covering the ground, as they decay, that actually makes the ground quite warm. So lots of things germinate during winter. Now, this is my favourite tree in the park. It's huge for one thing. I believe it's a Norway maple. Just look at how much its branches have grown. So, its bark looks almost scaly. It's rough. Lots of little cracks, bits in it. Got some places like this where bark was peeled off in a big chunk. Maybe there's a branch there, I don't know. Lots of lichen on it. And this here, this is where I often sit. I'll show you the view from here. So one of the reasons I like this tree is you get a really good view of the park from here. Hey old buddy. See how cool its shadow looks? The sun comes right between its branches. It's another one with really long needles. It's also one of the tallest trees in the park. Quite a lot of things living in it. It might be what that other pine tree that I wasn't sure about is as well. Same sort of papery bark. Look at the colour difference just in its bark. Some almost red bits here, and then the white dry bits that have been exposed to the air. This, I believe, is called a sycamore maple. See how twisty its branches get to the top. Its bark's a lot more flaky than the Norway maple. See where all the bits have peeled off of it, where it's nice and red? Something really cool I can show you. Ladybirds use this tree to hibernate in. Well, not really. Now, we are at the end of our walk through Baxter Park. I hope you've enjoyed coming with me. This is a really pretty park. You could spend hours in it. Just walk up to the exit.